All right, so we are going to continue on, and as we're going through the book of Revelation, the elder has said, "Do not weep." He's speaking to John. "See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has triumphed." Now, how did he triumph? This was John's vision. Well, I think we all know how the Root of David has triumphed. Anyway, it says, "He is able to open the scroll and its 7 seals." He's the only one in all of heaven and under the earth and in the earth who qualified to open these seals. He's the only one that triumphed in whatever way he was supposed to triumph, and I believe that means that he lived on the earth without sin, and he obeyed the Father and went to the cross and was obedient and without sin, and he brought his blood to the Father and paid for all of the sins of mankind. That's how he triumphed. All right. This is John talking. John said, "Then I saw a lamb who had been slain, but he was standing in the center of the throne, surrounded by 4 living creatures and the elders." So he was slain, yet he was alive. He had 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out into all of the earth. Isn't that interesting? How much have we been told about that? How many of your churches have told you that there are 7 spirits of God that were sent out into all of the earth? We think that all this is happening. There's, the 7 spirits that they're in heaven, but no, God said that he sent them out into all of the earth. So that's something to ponder as well. All right, he came and took the scroll. This is the lamb that was slain. He came and took the scroll from the right hand of him who sits on the throne. Okay, and this again tells me that, it's God the Father on the throne, because we know that the Lamb is Jesus Christ who was slain. So that's how we also know that the one on the throne is God the Father. All right, so the Lamb took the scroll from the right hand of him who sits on the throne. And when he did that, the 4 creatures and 24 elders fall down before the Lamb, and each one had a harp and was also holding golden bowls of incense, which are the prayers of the saints. So this is interesting also, that you need to know that when you pray, nothing is wasted. God hears your prayers, and your prayers are going into a golden bowl, and it's like incense to God, and it's going to be there. All of these prayers are going to be poured out as an offering to God the Father. It's also interesting that, I'm going to read this again, the 4 creatures and the 24 elders fall down before the Lamb. Each one had a harp and also was holding golden bowls of incense, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sang a new song. And here are the words that they spoke in their song. "You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals, because you were slain, and with your blood you purchased men from God, from every tribe and language and people and nations." So remember, I just was talking about this. What made him worthy? Well, this was it, that he was slain. And I'm going to say it again. "You are worthy to take the scroll and to open its seals, because you were slain, and with your blood you purchased men for God from every tribe and language and people and nation." See, Jesus purchased all of us for God. All right, here's the rest of it. "And then they said, you have made them to be a kingdom and priests to serve our God, and they will reign on the earth." So those of us who have accepted what Jesus did for us, those of us who have accepted his blood as payment for our sins, it says here that we are a kingdom and priests to serve our God, and we will reign on the earth. You see, earth is our home. In the last of the last days, when we are going into eternity, this kind of bothered me because I thought, I want to be in heaven. I don't want to be on earth forever and ever and ever. But the two will become one, and we will not be bound to the earth only. But this is our eternal home for those of us who belong to God. And we have authority to rule and to reign, and we always will have authority, because this is where God gave us to reign, and that is the earth. Okay. Now, it says here, angels, elders, the living creatures, then they sing this song. They say, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power and wealth and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and praise." Now, I wrote that down because nothing is insignificant ever in the Bible. So I wrote that down, and I noted that there are 7 things that was listed here. And those 7 things have to be important. It says, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slain." He's worthy to receive, all right, here we go, power, wealth, wisdom, strength, honor, glory, and praise. These are all important things, because if they weren't important, they wouldn't be listed. And if they weren't important, then Jesus wouldn't have to be worthy to receive them. And if Jesus received them, and we are in him and he is in us, then these are 7 things that we can have at our disposal as well. Power, wealth, wisdom, strength, honor, glory, and praise. All right. Here it says, "Then every creature in heaven, on earth, under the earth, on the sea, and all that is in them sang." Okay, I want to say that again. Every creature in heaven, on the earth, under the earth. You notice how it says under the earth again? Something to ponder. On the sea, and all that is in them sing. To him who sits on the throne and unto the Lamb be praise, honor, glory, and power forever and ever. Again, nothing is for nothing. So think about those words. All right, now the Lamb begins to open the seals. And, we're constantly talking about, well, which seal are we in right now? We hear people talking about the seals. So I wrote down what is happening with each seal. Okay. The first seal, a white horse is released, and that white horse is, quote, bent on conquest. He holds a bow, and he is given a crown. Okay, now the second seal, and here's the thing, we don't know, John is seeing all of this, but we don't know how much time is elapsing between one seal and the next. I'm thinking it could be years, and it could be hundreds of years, and you'll see why in a minute. Okay, here's the second seal. The second seal, when that is taken off, then John sees a fiery red horse, and the rider is given power to take peace from the earth and to make men kill each other, and he's also given a large sword. Now, in this context, a sword is used for combat, for slaying, killing, because we know that because it says he has power to take peace from the earth, to make men kill each other, and he's given a large sword. So just so far, we've got the first seal and the second seal. If you look at what has happened when the first seal was opened and what has happened when the second seal is opened, you could say that we're seeing these things already. We already see that men are killing each other and that there is no peace on the earth. And, the white horse was bent on conquest. So, we could imagine that this is a horse that, or a entity that is conquering other people, other tribes, other nations. And these first and second seals, we can see that is prevalent right now in the earth. Okay, then we have the third seal, and there is a black horse that is seen, and the rider of this horse is holding a pair of scales, and someone says, "A quart of wheat for a day's wages, 3 quarts of barley for a day's wages, and do not damage the oil and the wine." Now, this is a mystery. We know that, when it's talking about food and money, basically wheat and wages. Barley is food, wheat is food, and then we have wages. So we're talking about food and money. And then it says, "Do not damage the oil and the wine." So, in the Bible, in scriptures, we understand that oil and wine represent, the Holy Spirit. So it says, "Do not damage the oil and the wine." Those are good things. Those are, we could say, the fruit of God, people who have God inside of them. And so for the wheat and the barley and a day's wages and scales, a pair of scales, we could see that has to do with the economy of the world. So you could argue that the third seal has also been released. Now the fourth seal has been, here's what happens when the fourth seal is opened. Then there's a pale horse, and the rider is named Death, and he is closely followed by Hades. So here I don't know, what does that mean? Does that mean closely followed by Hades? John doesn't say he sees another horse. So, I think some of this that John is seeing, we have to just kind of fill in, because it's kind of like when you tell a story or when you tell about a dream that you had, you might miss out on some details. So we know that the Bible is always true, but we also know that the Bible doesn't tell us everything. It doesn't give us all the details. So we have to just kind of imagine what that means. But what's important is that death is there, and Hades, which is a representation of hell, and they are given power over 1/4 of the earth to kill by the sword, famine, plague, and by the wild beasts of the earth. I'm going to presume that this fourth seal has also been already opened, because we're seeing a lot of death. We're seeing people going to hell. We're seeing famines and plagues. And God gave us, as human beings, authority to have authority over everything in the earth. But yet we see here that the wild beasts of the earth are having authority over man because they're killing people, and they should not have a right to kill people. So we're seeing the fourth seal already. All right, now we have the fifth seal. When the fifth seal is opened, John then sees under the altar souls of the martyrs, and they are crying out to God, and they are saying, "How much longer before the Lord judges the inhabitants of the earth to avenge our blood?" And he sees these martyrs. John sees the martyrs. They are given white robes, which means robes of righteousness. Their sins are washed away. And they are told to wait until the number of their fellow servants and brothers are to be killed, until that number is fulfilled. So this tells us, again, this fifth seal has already been opened, because we know that people have been martyred throughout history. and they are righteous. They've got robes of righteousness, but God is telling them, you still have to wait until the end because there's going to be more people martyred. So this is the seal that has been opened and is in progress. Okay, now we have the sixth seal. When the Lord opens the sixth seal, suddenly John sees an earthquake. He sees the sun turn black. The moon turns blood red. The stars fell to the earth. The sky rolls back. Every mountain and island is removed from its place. Every human is hid in caves. Every human, it says, hid in caves and among the rocks of the mountains. So, so we know that the sixth seal has not been opened yet because we haven't seen all of this. So if anyone asks you what seal are we in, we have fulfilled the seals 1 through 5, and we're waiting for the sixth seal to be opened. Okay, so now, this is more of the sixth seal. It says here, and I'm reading from my notes, I'm not reading from scripture, this is like Cliff Notes. It's the day of God's wrath has come. 4 angels stood at the 4 corners of earth, holding back the 4 winds so that no wind was blowing anywhere. Now this is important in other ways to know that, when you feel a breeze outside, that's a supernatural thing. That's the evidence of God. When you take in a deep breath, that is evidence that God's breath is in you. We should not take our breath for granted, or for the wind for granted. And the angels are standing at the 4 corners. Now, I believe that means north, south, east, and west. How there are corners of the earth, I don't know how he can say that. All we can do is go with what it says. And the 4 winds. So we know the winds can come from the north, the south, the east, or the west. And so there was not a breeze anywhere. Can you even imagine what that would feel like? Probably if you take a deep breath, you're going to feel like you can't get a deep breath because there's no wind, no breeze. All right, so it says here then, the angel from the east is carrying a seal, the seal of the living God. I'm just telling you what it says. Can't interpret what that is. And then the previous 4 angels had been given power to harm the land and the sea. Okay, so we got an angel from the east, and the angel from the east is in addition to the other 4 angels that were holding the corners of the earth. Those 4 angels have been given power to harm the land and the sea. Now the angel from the east said to the other 4 angels, "Do not harm the land, the sea, or the trees until we put a seal on the foreheads of the servants of our God." Okay, so that tells us that there are people in the earth that belong to God, and the angel is going to put the seals on their foreheads so that the 4 angels know, don't destroy, don't harm these people because they belong to God. So that should tell us also that these people have not been raptured. We have not been raptured by the time the 6th seal is opened. We're still here. And some people will say, well, that's going to be people that didn't make the first rapture. Well, you can say that, but that's setting us all up for, well, if September 23rd comes and people are raptured up and the rest of us are still here, we're going to think there's something wrong with us. Why did we get left behind? And we're still going to be here for the sixth seal because we weren't good enough. And we were, you know, I don't know. I don't know what would be the reason for that, but that sounds like a demonic setup to have that mentality. Here, all I'm reading is that we're still going to be here when the sixth seal is opened, and we have not seen the sixth seal open because we have not seen all the things that come with the sixth seal. Okay. Well, let me back up on what I just said, because continuing on here, it says here that those who were sealed were 12,000 each from the 12 tribes of Israel, totaling 144,000. So that tells us that these 12,000 each were from Israel, 144,000. Those sealed were the 12,000 each from the 12 tribes of Israel, totaling 144,000. So what I just said, I'm not going to edit this out. You can just know that I'm going by my notes, and so I don't know. Okay. And since it's been 21 minutes, I'm going to stop this video, and then we will continue again with the next video. We're just continuing on. So pick right back up, and I'll be right back.